Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm super excited to be here today. This is the second episode of Sell Like a Marketer with Patrick Hogan, and today we're going to be discussing proposals. Patrick, could you give us like a summary of the last session?
Certainly, yeah. The last session was on the discovery call, which was the call when you first sit with the client and ask, what are you looking to do? What are you looking to achieve? So that discovery call, if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, Sarah's got the recording up on her site. You should, because it's pretty important. A lot of things we're going to talk about. The proposal today follows all the great information you've uncovered in a really good discovery call. So can't stress enough that if you didn't get a chance to listen to the first discovery call podcast, we'll recap it quickly, but you should go back and watch the full one. It was very informative. And we had great comments on it. So quickly in the discovery call, when you're sitting in the simplest sense, you sit with a client. And again, nobody will sit with you as a marketer, as another meeting person. Usually they won't take the meeting without something in their mind. Who does that? Who just takes a meeting? Well, I got nothing on my mind. So typically they would have reached out, you would have been connected, and you get on the call and say, hi, Tom, as you know, I'm a marketer. Here's a little bit about me. What's on your mind? Right. So the objective we talked about last time on the discovery calls, as quick as possible, is to get them talking about what they want to do, how they want to do it, and most importantly, why they want to do it. What's the business case? So a quick recap on the last thing was the discovery call was following a bit of a process of first a little bit of credibility. Hey, thanks for seeing me today, Sarah. I do SEO for large corporations, and I understand you're looking for some help with a campaign, too. So please, and I would say to the client, like, okay, Sarah, please tell me, what's on your mind. So people worry about sales and pitching stuff too. Really, sales for the most part is getting people talking and asking good questions, right? What's on your mind? And well, I want to increase my traffic. How do you plan on doing that? Because where most salespeople go wrong is they say, what do you want to do? And the client says, I want to increase traffic. That's where most salespeople, let alone non-salespeople, most salespeople go, I can help you with traffic. Let me tell you all the ways I can tell you. So they literally interrupt the client talking about what they want because they're solutioning too soon. All right. So there's a
Point, and
basic. Yeah, go ahead.
am I interrupting you?
Yeah, please.
I like the idea of what you just shared, solutioning too soon. Like you need to listen
Yeah.
and understand the entire situation. I
Yeah.
also like what you mentioned about what is the client looking to get out of this. And as we talk, every time we talk, me and Patrick, and hey, how can I do this? How can I do that? We always refer back to this. Like if you ask the client, what sort of ROI are you looking to achieve? What sort of profits? What is the business value you're
Yes.
expecting out of an SEO campaign? Let's say hey, we want to increase our sales or our leads 50%
Yep.
or whatever. Like get some numbers what they're looking for, because then it's going to help you when you're pitching your proposal and that sort of thing as well.
Very much so. Quantifiable
Yep.
numbers,
Yep.
right? And I'm always trying to come up with numbers like that. Well, I want this campaign to, well, tell me about the campaign. What do you hope it'll do? And they'll say, well, I hope to increase sales. And well, any idea how much? And they'll say, well, 10%. Oh, okay. Well, I love numbers because if they say, I want to increase sales 10%, my next question that I'll ask or I'll try and guess is, what's their sales now? So if they say, well, my sales now are $5 million and I want to increase it 10%, this is a $500,000 conversation. So that helps with all kinds of things. You've uncovered that, right? So when you can get to a quantifiable in some way, the magic words I use a lot, I love about business, think about business. Business is kind of in some ways unemotional. It makes decisions for the business and they're typically kind of profit driven or purpose driven, right? So my favorite question sometimes, and they'll say, I want to do this particular project and do this. And I'll come back and say, well, great, to help me understand what's the business case for this, or what would be the business case for this project? And that's when they'll come back and say, well, if I do this right, and Sarah helps me with SEO, I'm going to increase my traffic 10%, and then you can work that out 5 million. Wow, so you really think that if we do this right, there's $500,000 in this for you? And remember that because we're going to use those points. And I would not stop there. I'd say, okay, what else is it going to do for your business? It's very important in the discovery phase to uncover as many things that they want out of as possible and quantify them. And you're going to see why in the proposal that we're going to talk about, how you use those kind of, I call them bullets in the gun. You've kind of gathered some ammo there from them. And that's the nice thing about sales. You're not pushing them. You're not manipulating. You're not trying to do anything fancy. You're just trying to understand what's in it for them. right? So you can help them. It's like a doctor.
Yeah,
Same
and,
idea.
and and another thing also we always mention is when you meet with the client, make sure you book the next call before you finish the
Oh,
first call. That's very important, and I love this. And today, what we're talking about actually is this second call that you booked, where you pitch the like you met the client, have discovery call, book the next call. Now today's topic is this next call where you're going to be pitching the proposal.
I love that. That's perfect. That was the big maxim, the big takeaway from the discovery call we did back is do not say, hey, I'll send you a proposal, right? And email it. That's the worst thing you can do. You've given up any value. One of the questions we got a lot on the discovery call podcast was, what do I do when people ghost me? You know what I mean? I did all this work and I sent them the proposal. Now they don't respond. You know, I spent 5 hours doing this and now they just ghost me. And you say, well, every preceding step sets up the following step. And if you got ghosted and you just sent the proposal, you have no leverage, right? To call them back. So that's why, like Sarah just said, beautiful takeaway is at the end of every call, you book the next call. If you think you can help them. If you can't think you can help them, then don't do it.
Yeah.
But
And
you know,
And that's good because then you get a sense of, hey, is this something I can, like, are they interested or not?
yeah,
And what I usually do is I used to slap the client with a proposal via email, which is like the thing that you shouldn't be doing, literally.
yeah. No,
Because
yeah,
you're not there to answer the questions. Maybe there's some area for changes and they see this and, they're not there to
yeah.
explain. I think Outreach Monkeys, they sell backlinks, so this is going to be cool for you guys as well. They reached out to me on WhatsApp, on email as well. Hi, Umar. So what I'm trying to say is that the proposals meeting is you what did you say last time? You said like you sort of set up yourself for success in the first call to begin with,
The
right? Like
first,
if
yeah,
this discovery call went well, you're more likely to be successful in the proposal call. Like there are things that you wouldn't have to go through in the proposal call if you have managed a good discovery call.
very much so. Yeah, each step sets up, and you'll find sometimes people say, "Well, what happens when they ghost me?" And you say, "Well, the problem's not now ghosting. The problem happened a week ago. You know, we did some things like you either said, 'I'll call you back' or 'I'll send it to you.' Right? It's so anyway. I'll tell you. I'll talk about the right way to do it. As Sarah, let's you and I have just talked about. I understand your needs. You're telling me that you hope to improve your SEO, to improve your traffic, to improve your sales by $100,000, right? I'm saying, and they say, great. Typically we say, would you like to see a proposal? Or I always say first at the end of that, once I understood all their needs, I say, do you think we're a fit? And they'll say yes or no, or and so the final question is, okay, great. I'll put together a proposal. It's okay to say that. And that's what Sarah was saying. I'll put together a proposal. I would say things like, Umar, open up your calendar, for next week. When would be next week? I need about a half an hour, 45 minutes to present the proposal to you because you're going to have questions. Right. And then you got to be quiet when you say that. Let's open up your calendar. Is next week okay? Okay, good stuff. I need about 45 minutes of your time, to does that work for you? Like you got to get that next step if you think you can help them. But then you got to know in sales sometimes when to be quiet. So when you said open up your calendar for next week, let's book our next meeting. I'll put together a proposal for you, and then we can review it on the call. So either they accept that, which is great, or they'll say something like, no, just send it over. Just email it to me. And you want to resist that. And the way I say that, sort of say, well, look, I can send it, but you see, it's a proposal. We've got a lot of things you've covered. You're going to have questions, too. So my preference would be to run through it with you on the call, and then I can leave it with you, because
I
you're going to have
think
questions.
since we're talking about emails and we're not supposed to send proposals via email, ideally we should meet. This should be like an exception. It shouldn't happen, okay?
Yeah,
And I mean, it's fair enough because you put time and effort into preparing this proposal, right?
yeah.
And remember, we also discussed how many times should you follow up, and you said we shouldn't need to follow up because we have a
You
plan,
booked a meeting.
right?
Yeah,
Like you don't need to spam your client with email after email after how following up. What's your thoughts on this? Any updates on that sort of thing? Because it's
yeah,
annoying.
yeah,
And some people would reach out even on LinkedIn. They're like, looking forward to your positive feedback. And like, why is it positive? When did I express express any sort of interest, like
Yeah,
when, right? So I like the sequence we're going, and
yeah.
okay, I have a question for the proposal session. Should I start, or you have anything
Sure,
else?
go ahead.
Okay.
Well, just really quickly, just make sure you understand the whys. Why are they doing this? What's in it for them? In as quantifiable dollar amounts as possible, or risk, or these sorts of things. Because particularly if you're proposing to a bigger company, then there's going to be more people involved in the buying decision than the person you're talking with likely. The bigger the company, the bigger the proposal, the more people will be involved. Knowing the kind of the business impacts that they expect, the outcomes, the dollar outcomes, the increasing, the hard numbers too, is going to be your gold, right? And it's going to be the currency you use to get the next meeting. To maybe on the next meeting, they've agreed to the next meeting. You present the proposal with them, and they say, "Oh, I'm going to bring my CFO or my finance person," right? That's why if you've understood the business case, then you're able to talk the CFO's language. The CFO says, "Oh, I don't know why we should spend 100 grand on this." And that's an objection. We'll talk about objections in a later call. But wouldn't it be nice if the CFO, you've got your champion, they love you, Sarah, I'm going to go with you, you're the best. But my CFO, he writes the checks, kind of thing. So he wants to talk to you about that, and that's his job is to beat you down. Purchasing, that's their job too. But if you're able to sort of say, well, that sounds like a lot of money you're charging me, Sarah, $5,000 to do this. I would sort of say, well, that's kind of my rate, but if what I understand, you people told me last week that if we do this properly, you'll make $100,000. Sounds like a pretty good investment to me. What do you think? Right. So that's why knowing in the discovery call and keep pushing about what's the business case, what's in it for you, what do you expect outcomes in as quantifiable terms as possible, not just increased traffic. How much? What's it now? Right. And by the way, I'm sorry for keep kind of hammering on this because later on in the winning proposals, we're going to use these
Refer back to
bullets in
this
there.
point, yeah.
Yeah.
Like few things we always refer back to: making a good discovery call, knowing what their why, and booking the next call always before the end of the meeting. Like these things are
Yeah,
like
not
gold
negotiable.
tips, right?
Yeah.
Guys, I just want to highlight we're super open to questions. We like questions. Feel free to jump in the chat or unmute yourself and just ask. We're happy. That's the purpose of having this as a live interactive session versus just me and Patrick chit-chatting. So I was very
Yeah.
disappointed when I'm like, no one's coming to our session.
I love to ask her some questions.
Okay.
No,
Okay. So the first question is, it's something I personally struggle with is, do you need to come into a meeting with the client when you're pitching a proposal? And I mean,
mhm,
any meeting, but since we're talking about
mhm,
proposals,
yeah,
and to be confident, and does that reflect on your proposal? If you are not confident, yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like you don't
yeah,
sound confident, sorry, the verb.
yeah,
And
yeah.
does that impact or the way that your client sees the value you can bring, like, and what are your tips about this? Yeah.
Yeah, no, confidence comes from confidence from knowing, right? Unknown makes you uncomfortable, right? I had a salesman once because we talked about what we just talked about is I said to them, always know what's in it for them as much as possible. Don't give up until you understand everything they hope to get from your service, right? And to so and the confidence comes from that. You've got that detail behind. And so then you're not going into the call going, wow, I hope they don't mind my $5,000 fee. The confidence comes in
Like
from saying,
me, I don't think I'm good enough.
well, you don't focus on that. You don't focus on that. That's subsidiary. That's down the road a ways. And by the way, they're not focused on that either. They're focused on getting their value, right? Too. So that's why my confidence typically comes from starting the proposal call, saying, "Hey, Judy, thanks for a call last week. You were very helpful. I understand a little bit what you're looking to get. Let me recap. You hope that your new SEO will increase your traffic 10%. You also hope this is going to happen. I'm just recapping what we uncovered in the discovery call, right? So you recap these expected benefits, and there's confidence in that. And I get excited. I come at it not from kind of I'm going to ask for 5,000. I'm going to come back and say, wow, if we work this together, if what you're telling me is true, and we use my expertise, we can make $100,000 for your company. Wow. You know what I mean? That's a confidence thing, and you're not trying to manipulate or, you're not going to get struck down. They told you this. This is their information, not you, right? You're just recapping.
Maybe you've seen one of those real estate reality TV shows where people are selling real estate, and the most successful ones are just very confident, very
You're
open.
good listeners.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, they're very people. It's a people skills at the end of the day. It's not knowing the most, or like you obviously need to do the work and you need to come prepared. But
Yeah.
then the way they show up, the way they talk to their clients, obviously being professional as well, being
Yeah.
everything like it's all
Yeah.
people skills. So
Yep.
I watch these to try to like get into capture this essence of confidence, like, but it's too much, it's too strong for me. So
It's a little bit of just, hey, here's what I understand. Do I have that right? And recapping, and there'll come a time when they're leaning
words
in and
small
yeah.
words we say doing par like I think maybe potentially I think like I can help you, like that sort of
Mm.
like you need to be more confident when you speak up, like, hey, I know I can do this, we've done that, like the
Yeah.
language I am trying to practice this but it's not comfortable. I'm sorry guys, I'm not trying to jeopardize the conversation for my
No,
the
confidence is
confidence.
important. No, confidence is important, Sarah. And again, it comes from good understanding, which you did in your discovery call. It comes from having, by the way, the other thing in confidence, and we'll talk about that, is having a bit of a process that you're following because you can check your marks. That gives you confidence too. Okay, here's how I'm going to run the call. It's okay if they get off on tangents and talk and stuff too. But if you got a kind of how you're going to run your call, then that's the confidence. And sometimes we'll talk about that, and we talked about in discovery is just simply on the call having an agenda up. Hey, good morning. Thanks for the meeting 2 weeks ago. Judy explained everything you're looking to do. Now today I'm going to present a little bit my proposal. We're going to go through the proposal real quick, and then I'm going to go to a Q&A. So you'll get a chance to ask questions. But let me take about 5 minutes and tell you what I heard and what I think we should do. So a sense of confidence comes from A, having a plan, B, having a good understanding, having done what they need to do. And lack of confidence gets replaced with excitement because you can help them, right? The other thing I used to try and do is in my mind, tell stories, right? So, hey, Judy, last week you noticed that all of a sudden your traffic dropped off, by 50%. By the way, this happened to a friend of mine, so I'm using that story. He said, my traffic, all of a sudden something changed. My traffic, and they're a huge business, right? Dropped 50%. So and then that's what we sort of say, this happened to another client like you. We were able to go in and find out what happened to this, and we changed and tweaked a few things. Now their traffic is up 50%. So you tell a little story, would that be of interest to you? And they're going, yeah, I mean, so confidence comes from A, preparation, B, an understanding of what they're looking to do, and C, having a bit of a plan. We'll cover off the plan in a second. The proposal format, a very short one I'm going to show you, follows a bit of a the way your meeting should flow. All right, so
We
I'm
have
going
a
to
question from Outreach Monkeys.
yeah,
In a highly competitive environment where buyers are in I'm sorry, I'm gonna say
yeah. Yeah, I can read it
inundated with
here. Inundated with countless emails, calls, messages. What are the most to enhance conversion rates?
yeah.
Great question. That's a big question. That's a little bit beyond proposals. This is getting them on the call in the first place. So you're going back
Yeah.
a couple of steps there too. But I'll try and answer that really quickly. To enhance your conversion rates, which means people raise their hand from your email or whatever you do, you have to demonstrate you understand them and their typical problems. So we do something called an emotional messaging framework, which is an exercise where we look at our ICP. What's our ideal client profile? Construction safety directors. Pick one. What's your ideal client profile that you're reaching for? Marketing directors. But you really look at that ICP and say, what are their? I love this one. I love about AI these days. Chat GPT, whatever. If I'm going to do a countless email or an email campaign to a certain target audience, I'll go to ChatGPT and say, okay, you're an expert in construction safety executives. You insert there anything you want, doctors, anything. You're an expert in what are the top 5 daily challenges that this title faces. And it's great because it'll list out kind of here's the 5 things typically that a construction safety director or a doctor are facing every day. And your challenge yourself is to say, how can I help with any of those 5? Like I used to reach out to healthcare CIOs, and because I've done so much research, I'd say, here are the 5. Here's what I understand from talking to CIOs like you. I understand the top 5 challenges you have. Now, in my company, I can help with 2 of them, too. But I'd like to understand, so being increasing your conversion rates usually means you're going to reach out to them with something that resonates with them. One of those 5 problems that they typically have that you can help them with, and how. So I don't know if that makes sense. Too, you have to understand and speak the language about problems they're likely to have. and how you can help solve them. The other thing we do in an EMF, emotional messaging framework we create, is what makes you different. That's the other thing. What makes you different? You may have expertise in healthcare or expertise in safety. So again, you're reaching out, you want to increase your conversion rates. You say, hey, here's I work with countless people like you. Here's the top 3 problems they have. And we've helped others with these problems in this way. I'd like to talk to you about perhaps how we can help you. Right. And you can rotate those 3 or 4 things you can help these people with. So hopefully that answers. Long answer.
Something from a marketing standpoint. I agree with everything Patrick said. That's really great. But one of the things I remember, like years ago, I was on a webinar by a link building company called Outreach Mama, and I still remember them to this day.
Yeah.
And they were always one of the companies I remember when I think about link building, because they ran a webinar like one we're running right now, and it was very useful and very interesting. And sometimes you don't need to email or DM, or sometimes maybe you offer some value and people know about you and get interested in what you do just by watching you. And I was just me and Patrick before this. We started this webinar. We were just chatting, and we didn't have hundreds of signups for the last session, the first one. Neither did we had hundreds of views or anything. It was a good amount, but it's not. We're not trying to sell ads on the video. And despite that, Patrick told me he got some positive feedback. He got some people, new connections, and that's what you're looking for. We're not trying to like scale this and reach everyone. We're trying to reach the people who are interested. And when you show them value, you can they reach out. They can they listen to Patrick. They felt, hey, we connect with this. We see the get across those challenges. We want to talk to Patrick, right? So sometimes it's just maybe an email or a DM is not the best approach. Sometimes, especially when it's very noisy, like it's
Yeah.
spam.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing too is there's surveys that if you're reaching out to a target audience, you need between 12 and 16 touches. So that first email, if you give up after your first email, you're not going to you're going to keep going. So the general thought is when you're laying out your campaign, your email outreach campaign, is it's not just one email. Typically, they say between 3 and 4 emails that you should be reaching. Because I get lots of emails of, well, I'm interested in that, but just not right now. Too. So when you're doing a campaign, it's not one outreach email to 19,000 people. I would turn around and pick 1,000 people that really match tightly my ICP and plan a journey for them with my emails. And the journey is email 1 typically is credentialing. Hi, it's Patrick. I work with lots of companies like you, including your biggest competitor. You say things like that. You give that credibility. And then the next 2 emails, which are usually about 1 or 2 days apart. This is just a very rough. The next emails are teaching them things. Hey, you're a construction safety director. My second email will be something along the lines of, we just work with PCL Construction. They had a new onboarding program, for new construction workers to keep them safe. And I understand that's a big challenge that safety construction directors have, is onboarding new people. I'd like to talk to you about how we help PCL. So that's email number 2. Email number 3 is again, remember we did the EMF, the emotional messaging. We identified 3 or 4 ways we can help them. So every email is a different story, and it takes them on a journey. All right. So by the time you get to the 4th or 5th email, they know a lot about you, right? Too. So that's where conversion rates go way up, is when because as I'm like that too. I get interesting emails all day long, and some of them I am interested in. I'm just not right now. I haven't got a minute. But 2 days later, another one shows up from Sarah. That's very helpful. That taught me something. And 3 days later. So the idea is, before you ask for a meeting in your email, you have to earn it. You have to make deposits in the relationship bank before you ask for a withdrawal. So, so to me, making deposits is sending them an email with some helpful stuff in there. Hey, just reaching out to safety directors. Here's a bit of a plan for an onboarding plan. That's why you see a lot of content marketing these days, right? Too. So I don't know if that answers your questions, but increasing conversion rates, have a plan. There's I'll get it to Sarah, but there's a great white paper by a company called Xant, XANT, and it's they studied on 1.2 million sales interactions about what worked and what didn't. They talked about sample emails, sample phone call scripts, how many times you should reach out. So I'll get that to Sarah and she can post it on her site. It's a great white paper by Xant on that. So we got on that one pretty quickly for a while.
Cool if you can share it. I'm also gonna share it on LinkedIn and maybe in a recap email afterwards.
Sure.
When I share the video recording, and I can also put it in a link in under the video on YouTube. Okay. Next question is: people don't like to be sold to. So, what are your thoughts on this? Like we were just discussing, how
Yeah.
do you, people say, "Hey, I don't want to come off like too salesy," right? So, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on this?
Well, my thoughts on this is first, it's a perception. And what is salesy? What is that? Everybody's got a different vision. I think what you're saying is kind of a negative connotation. Oh, salesy, you're going to push, you're going to
Yeah, I
manipulate.
don't know why it comes off as negative. Like, hey, I don't want to be salesy. Like, what's wrong
Well,
with being
yeah,
salesy? You don't want to be misleading or manipulative, or that
no,
you're not trying to, you know,
no, never,
tell them the
never
product something
lie.
it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
I mean, it comes from a good place. In my mind, the best salespeople I work with, don't really consider themselves salespeople. They consider themselves helpers. I'm here to use my expertise to help you. And if it means you have to buy my solution, that's nice. But if I haven't proven to you how my solution is going to help you, then I don't deserve the sale, really. So, it's salesy, as pushy. The biggest symptom of salesiness I see is not listening. And I see that a lot with professional salespeople. The saying is, I can see that they're not listening. They're waiting to talk. And you can, if you're observing in a sales call, you can see that sometimes. Sarah and I, when we first met, I was training her and onboarding. Sarah had the best thing in the world. When she had a question, yeah, she'd wave her pen. Oh, and
Being
in
like, I don't know why I did this. I'm sorry, but it's
it's
stuck. Like
brilliant.
this wasn't like 3 years ago, 2022, but it's stuck like
Yeah, yeah.
the lady with the
Wave the
pens.
pen. Well, I tell you why, because what I love in sales, I know when a call's going really well, a sales call's going well, when they're asking lots of questions. And the best thing as salespeople, you should love questions. And if I'm doing my pitch, I've been preparing 4 weeks for, and I'm all excited. I get everybody on the call, and I'm about to do my pitch, and I'm one slide into a 5 slide thing that I've been working on for days. If I'm one slide in, and the client waves the pin, you got to be brave enough and alert enough to stop. Oh, sorry, Sarah, you have a question. Because what the client has to say is 10 times more important than anything I have to say. Right? And, it's kind of nice. If they want to listen, I can help them. But if they show indication of leaning in or just a sec, it's the best salespeople I know will stop the presentation and say, "Sorry, no, Sarah, you had a question. I love questions. And by the way, thanks for the questions. Keep them coming in the chat here. I mean, because that
Be
means people
listening,
are
guys. This
engaged.
is us telling you ask questions, not
Yes,
pressure
questions,
at all, but we're
exactly.
just making sure that it's like clear. We love questions.
Yeah,
Okay, another question for Patrick. Do you need to be good at small talk with clients? And this is one of the challenges I have.
yeah,
Like, okay, how is the weather? Was the weekend? And then
yeah.
I just plateau. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a little bit more advanced. It's good to do your homework ahead of time, right? And that's about call preparation. So I'm an incurable researcher. I like to know who's going to be on the call. What do I know about them? Something simple like where are they? Oh, they're in Montana. You know. Oh, okay, I'm gonna have a quick look. He's in Billings, Montana. Right. If I really want, big client, I'll go and say what's going. Hey, I see Billings. Your hockey team just won or something. But be careful because not everybody's into small talk. Did we do the four personality types last time? There's four personality
oh,
types out
okay,
there.
well, maybe we can do that next time. This sounds fun.
We'll do that. That's a good one. The four personality types is because in sales, a lot of it to build trust and rapport with someone is to kind of mirror how they are. And it's not sneaky, it's not manipulative, it's good business. And one of the four types of a person is a driver. They want just the bullets. I'm busy. I got to get going. Can we get this started? And you can pick that up. We were chuckling. You can say there's always clues as to what type of personality they are. Just call their
If
voicemail.
you're, but okay, I mean this in the most polite
Yeah.
way, but what if your client comes off as not nice? It's like,
Well,
what?
then they're probably a driver and they appreciate brevity and focus. So that may come across as not nice. Hi, Sarah. How can I help you today? You know what I mean? What do I do? Oh my God,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Well, first thing to remember is that they're on the call for a reason. Nobody attends a call for no reason. So if somebody's kind of gruff like
Really
that,
good. Okay, guys, this is a very good important point to remind yourself. Oh, they're not interested in whatever, like any thoughts or that sort of like imposter syndrome you get. They are interested in meeting and interested in meeting with you. So there's something they see there. So just stay focused on this because this can help you with the
yeah,
confidence issue at least. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and the simplest sales call is, hey, Sarah, thanks for joining me today. I know you read my material stuff too. Please, what's on your mind? Or I'll do sometimes, hey, just quick readability. We work with people like you. We most recently worked with PCL Construction too. So I'm very excited to talk to you today, Sarah. But please, why did you join the call today? What's on your mind? Simplest sales. One of my buddies is a top sales guy with Microsoft, and that's his spiel. Hey, you've agreed to see me today, Sarah. You kind of know I work for Microsoft. What's on your mind? I have 400 products. I can talk all day long, but I'd rather hear why did you join the call today? And then you got to be quiet because you've asked a valid question, and clients love that. Oh, Sarah, I want to do this. Oh, okay, you want to do that, right? Okay, I want to increase my traffic 10%. Wow. The next question, and this is where everybody goes wrong. As soon as the client gives you a big, what we call a softball like that, Sarah, can you help me? I want to increase my traffic, right? Most salespeople, let alone non-salespeople, go, I can help you with that. Let me tell you how. And they take the next half an hour talking about themselves, when they should have done when the client said, right at that moment, why'd you join the call, Sarah? Oh, because I want to increase traffic. Oh, tell me more. What do you want? What do you want to increase traffic for? And here's the other thing. How do you think you want to do that? So what, how, why? Write that down, everybody. There's the sequence. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And can you help me understand why it's important to your business? Why now? What, how, why? Write it down. Right. And then once you fully understand that, I always sort of say, anything else, a little bit like the typewriter. What, how, why, anything else. What, how, why, anything else, right? I also want to do this, and I also want to do this, right? And usually they have two or three things on their mind, right? And I make a bit of a joke over after about the fourth kind of anything else. Right? I say, I'm going to keep asking anything else until you say uncle, till you give up, right? But the simplest thing to remember and write it down is you're on the sales call. Great. What's on your mind, sir? That would be the simplest sales call. And you get to feel them out. If you get a not so nice, and they may appear not so nice, that's probably a driver. And that person appreciates brevity. They appreciate focus. You know, um, so the four types is, somebody moves fast and is very task oriented as a driver. And there's always a tell. And that's when that person goes, sir, thank you. I appreciate the call today. I want to get right to what I want to talk about. Perfect. Start talking, right? So that's people that move fast and they are task-based or drivers. Sometimes you get someone that's an amiable, and amiables move a lot slower and they're people-based. And those are the people that say, how are you today, Sarah? Wow, that's a beautiful apartment you have. And then that's where you can kind of get a little bit more small talky. Oh yeah, well, I got news. It's just a background. So small talk. You can prepare for it a little bit. I'm usually trying to say, how are you today? And just from that answer, I'm good, thanks. Can we get started? Okay, that's a
Yeah,
driver.
Patrick,
Then
your sales skills helped you in real life, in your day to day as well, when dealing
practice
with
it.
people. Yeah.
Practice it. Yeah. Yeah, practice it.
Do you feel like being a good salesperson helped you in your everyday, generally speaking, when you're
Yeah.
dealing with people?
Well, curiosity. I'm curious anyways. What do you
Yeah.
do? How do you do it? I'm very curious about that. That's probably the biggest sales skill to have, is that curiosity. Why is that
Interesting.
important? Help me
Yeah.
understand I love finding out about every different new business, right? To do that. So small talk is, you can do a little bit with preparation by looking at their LinkedIn profile. Hey, congratulations on a new award, or I see your company just merged. What does that mean? So that's kind of a fun small talk, eh? While we're waiting for everybody to join, Sarah, I see you guys just did a big merger. How's that affecting your company? Right?
Yeah. Guys, we may run a bit late. If I hope that's okay with you, Patrick, and with everyone. I'm okay.
Yep.
Okay. How, okay, another question. Uh, so outreach monkeys, I think this is an SEO question.
Yeah.
I mean, we can touch on it at the end if you're okay. I can wait like 5 minutes and like
No,
answer
let's
you.
go. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, question. How do you grab attention in an SEO proposal?
Talk about their pain. Simple. Talk about their
Talk
pain.
about their pain.
Here's what I
Okay.
heard last week. You have to, in sales, people make decisions, not just in sales. People make decisions for emotional reasons and then back them up with logic. So I always start every call with, "Hey, here's what I heard in the last call." Right? You told me that if you could increase your SEO by 10%, that would mean $500,000 for you. So, grabbing the attention, usually starting with them. They don't want to hear about me. They want to hear about themselves, right? What's in it for them. So that's why I'm going to flash up in a second on the screen here, a follow-up proposal letter. And it starts with, the first section is, the fresh, here's the pain you shared with me. Your traffic dropped 50%. So that's why that discovery call, you've noted this in discovery call. So starting out, grabbing attention right out of the gate is saying, here's what I heard your pain is. You say you step on the broken leg a little. You remind them, right? Because emotions drive action. And if they're not emotional about it, no big deal. Drop 10%, no big deal. Okay, then that's probably not a good thing to hammer on if you're going to try and get them to work with you, because it's not important to them. But they have told you in a good discovery call, and you've noted the what, how, and why and you start with that. So starting with that is here, and that's a winning proposal. Here's what I heard. Here's what I propose is the next step. I propose we do this, this, and this. You sent me one, Sarah, and you sent me a proposal, a sample proposal. It was good on here's how I think we should address this, but you didn't magnify the pain enough up front. Now it's important in your proposal, because that's what this call is about, is proposals, is to document that pain up front. You've told me this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, because that proposal will get shopped around inside that organization. And not everybody was on that initial call.
Do you want to share the proposal, or we can, I mean, you don't have to, like, if you feel
Well,
it's
no, I'll
relevant.
bring up one. I can share my screen. I'll bring up one that's more for structure than anything
Okay,
else.
okay.
So you can kind of see the structure here.
So they can see my embarrassing
Yeah.
proposal. I'm not the best.
No, it's not
Okay,
yours. It's not yours. It's my basic one. No, your proposal was
okay,
good. It was just
okay,
missing.
that's good. That's good. They're not
It
gonna
was just
be
missing
like,
that. It was missing the reminder of the pain. Okay, so
okay,
I'll try and share here real quick. This is just sort of a standard one, but you're going to notice the structure is pretty straightforward. This is from a
okay, that's
program.
nice to look at a template for a
Yeah.
proposal.
Okay. Can you see this? Okay.
Yes.
All
Can you
right.
see, guys? Can you click a control and plus so it becomes a bit bigger?
Sure. Oop,
Or if you go to the,
let me make it bigger.
yeah, okay,
I'll go right away. We'll go section by section here.
okay. And I like, okay, so this is part of an email sequence.
It's your follow-up. It's your proposal, if you
Okay,
will.
okay,
This is a one-letter proposal, right?
okay,
If you will. So, and again, it's more about the structure. You can fill in more things too, right? So
yeah.
what he said, I understand your challenges. So remember, you're reminding them of the pain. And I get asked a lot, well, I did this proposal and now they're ghosting me. How do I restart this? They love me until, now they won't return my phone call. The only way to restart that is, well, number one, you shouldn't have left them off the last call without booking the next call. But if that happens, the way to get a restart is to remind them of the pain that they shared with you. And again, that's not salesy. That's saying, hey, you told me this was a problem. I want to help you with it too. So, these are your challenges. Now you're saying, now here's what we're looking to do. So after you remind them of the challenges, the next thing is saying, you suggested by working with me, here's what you're going to get from working with me, right? We're going to improve. We're going to change your ability. So what are the capabilities you'll have after we work together? It may be better analytics. It may be a higher conversion rate. Somebody mentioned earlier, right? I'll work with you. Your conversion rate now is 5%. If we can get that up to 20%, so these are the capabilities you said that you wanted. So it's kind of nice. Here you've reminded them of the pain. By the way, there is a little bit of emotional manipulation going on here. I told you we don't manipulate, but there is a way to kind of gently do it. We call it a little bit of whipsawing people up and down. So you think about it, you're reminding them of their challenges, you're reminding them of their pain. They're going, oh yeah, I almost got fired. That was bad. Emotions are high. Now you're holding out a carrot, saying, great, okay, if we work together, here's the capabilities. You'll be able to do this. You'll have improved document asset. So you're saying, here's what you told me you expect to get. So now they're feeling pretty good. Their emotions are coming up, right? They're thinking, wow, I'm feeling pretty good. Then you're into the impact. Here's what you're going to see from your organization. And this is sort of the final step, very simple. Here's what we anticipate will happen. Your traffic's going to go up 30%. Therefore, you're going to make these more sales. All right. And then the final step of the proposal is next step. Okay. And this is where you show them, here's what I suggest we do next. I'm going to need to talk to your people. Here's where you lay out the next step is, right? Confirm your understanding above. So very, you remind them a little bit what the challenges were. You remind them what they told you that their capabilities would be if they solve these problems. What are the impacts? Remember, this is what you asked back in the discovery call. Why are you doing this? How's that going to impact your business? Oh man, I'm going to increase my traffic 10%. I'll get that raise. Okay, so that very simply, that's kind of a high level proposal. You can put in all kinds of coloring in there too. But first thing is to start with is reminding them of the primary challenges that they shared with you. All right. So, that's one. Hang on, there's a second one down here, but you'll find there's a second one here. No, this is our sales. There's another one here. Slide up a little bit. There's another simple one here too. Thanks for taking the time. Here's what I understood, right? Your challenges are, right? Here's what you told me you hope to get. And here's what'll happen if we do this. You'll improve your estimating by 5%, and then next steps, right? So next steps, very important. Here's I suggest that we do, right? Your action. Okay. So I know that's very basic. Yours had a lot of the stuff in there, Sarah, that when you sent me. I think and by the way, you're not alone. Even professional salespeople miss up on this.
It's okay if it sucks, and this is why we're not
No,
doing it. My
all what it
proposal,
misses, what it misses
it's
is
not that
enough.
bad. Okay,
What
yeah.
it misses is just and don't what it misses is the reminding them of why they reached out to you in the first place, why they raised their hand, right? Too.
Can we have a
It
copy of
also
this shared
yeah,
with the, okay, if
you
that's
bet.
okay with you, if you're comfortable with that, that would be great because I feel people would be interested in having this.
And one final
Okay.
thing, nowadays, I'm just going to say this: if you've done this properly, right, and you've outlined it, that person now is able to take. Sometimes I've actually helped people sell internally because they want to do something, but they haven't really thought this through yet as to why. Not everybody's a good business person. So you're being a good salesperson is not manipulation, it's helping them articulate why they're doing this. So now he could take this document here and go to their CFO and ask for $50,000 or because it's really well outlined what they expect to get back. So
That's a very good point. So it's not just sales skills is not just to sell to other businesses. It's even internally when you're trying to promote, like get buy-in for whatever you're building or whatever you need approval for, right?
Mhm.
That's a very good point. And I like this because you usually need to prepare some sort of a document, a business case, or explain why you want people to be on board with the whatever you're suggesting. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like this that you raised this. This is very, very important. This is not a skill just, and I feel this is like the magic of sales. It's important. As I said, I feel it's going to help you even in your day to day being
yeah.
a people skill.
Very much so. I'm working with a group of of people now that it's an education institute, and what they realize is that with ChatGPT and Gen AI, technical knowledge is not quite the premium it used to be. There's only one guy who knows how to do this. Well, now there's 5 people who can do it. To what's changing now is people are looking for training on soft skills like active listening. So if you want something to do after this, you want to take a little course or just say, how do I practice active listening? That's probably the biggest skill because most people aren't listening, they're waiting to talk, right? Especially if the client has given us a softball. As you see that lots, right? Clients, I did it one deal. Microsoft paid me to mystery shop their biggest CRM dealers. So I pretended to be a customer. I called Microsoft clients and said, or sorry, Microsoft CRM partners and said, hey, I want to buy a CRM. And they go, oh, great, we do that. So I would get on a sales call with them. And here's what would happen. I did 25 calls and they all went like this. They would say, hey, Pat, how can we help? Good start. What's on your mind? Good start. And I would say, well, I'm looking at CRM. And they say, what for? And I had 5 reasons. I was totally willing to tell them 5 reasons why I bought CRM, right? But the first one was forecasting. I wanted good forecasting. And where every one of those salespeople went wrong, as soon as on this call, they go, Pat, what are you looking to do? And I'd say, well, I'm thinking forecasting. And off everybody went. They went, we do forecasting. Well, we can do PDFs and we can do time. Off they went. What they should have said is, oh yeah, okay, we can probably help you with forecasting. Please help me understand, how do you want to forecast and why is forecasting important to you and why now? They should have dug into that, right? Because I would have told them, and this is the truth, because it was part of that campaign we did, was I would have told them that, well, you know what, right now we're using spreadsheets for forecasting and the spreadsheet screwed up and it cost us $2 million. We made $2 million more product than we needed. So I want to do forecasting now because I want to avoid losing $2 million again next year. So that'd be kind of nice up here. Business drivers, they save 2 million bucks, right? So just putting that in there, it takes you to another level because I tell you, if they're looking to save 2 million bucks, they're not going to grind you over your $10,000 fee. Does that make sense? But I gathered, early on, and actually each one of those 5 reasons I was buying CRM had a dollar figure attached to it. One of the reasons I wanted CRM is because one of my salespeople left and went across the street to my competitor and took $1 million deal with him. And because we didn't have CRM, I had no information on the deal. I didn't know what he was talking. I had no notes, So one of the reasons was $1 million deal loss. So right there, add those two together, that's $3 million worth of justification for a CRM. Right. So again, that first what, how, and why is it important with quantifying? I keep coming back to that in your discovery call ahead of the proposal is so important. If you don't have that, then you're just like everybody else. You're just going, hey, here's why you should buy from me, not here's why I, here's how we can help you. Yeah, good one. No, that's grab
All
attention.
this knowledge. I still
Yeah,
have questions. I'm sorry.
please. I love questions. Questions are the
Uh,
fruit of a good call.
what I like about talking to Patrick is he has a wealth of knowledge in sales. Like you learn all the time. So okay, the next thing is how do you create a sense of urgency without sounding pushy?
Um, the idea is if you've understood the dollar value that they want, let's say they say, well, you know what, I think if we do this, we'll increase our sales that by $120,000. I'm going to use round numbers, $120,000 a year. Wow. So that's like $10,000 a month, right? You go, yeah. Well, we should get started because every month that we don't do anything is costing you 10 grand. That's what I'm hearing from you. Is that right? Right. And they're going to go, well, yeah, I expected, there's an expected benefit. And the quicker you get it, the quicker it goes in your pocket. Too. So that's and literally that's from a deal I did close where we worked out that they were spending probably $30,000 a month more than they needed to, and my technology could save them $30,000 a month, $1,000 a day. So knowing the business impacts, timing and dollars and stuff too, helps you craft your sense of urgency message back. Right. And that sense of urgency is, hey, it's been 3 weeks, Sarah, since we talked, and at the time you told me we were losing $1,000 a day, 3 weeks. That's $21,000. That's why I'd like to kind of jump on the call with you and say, what can we do to get this started? Go ahead. Does that make sense? Sense of
Yes.
urgency, just to remind them of the pain or of the expected gain. Oh, we got to get this campaign ready for Christmas. Oh, okay. Why is that? Oh, because Christmas we do 40% of our business. All right. So between now and Christmas, I'm going to be calling up saying, "Whoa, we got to get this Christmas. We're not going to miss this Christmas season. You told me that was real important. You told me. I'm not pushing. You told me that." Right? That makes sense? Yeah.
Like that's why listening is important to get as much information to help you build a proposal and understand what's important for them. What is the thing that, hey, this is the reason they're
You-
urgent or that's important for
yeah.
them. That's a
What
very
are their
good.
emotional drivers? Yeah.
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 Okay. How can SEOs build trust in a sales conversation?
The
Because
best
I
way to
mean, at
build
the end
trust.
of the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you're meeting with a client, you are trying to sell them your service, obviously. So how do you build trust in that situation? Yeah.
Well, first, I'm not trying to sell my service. I'm trying to help them. You got to get off of sell my service. That's about me. Helping them is about them, right? So this is all about them. Right, not me. So I don't like the idea I'm trying to sell my service. They'll buy my service if I can help them enough. That's always the way I thought. And I've had situations where, I don't think I can help them. So what's the use of kind of trying? I wouldn't feel good about trying to force something on them that I didn't think would do it. I wouldn't sleep at night doing that. So you're not really trying to sell them anything. You're trying to help them solve something. You're trying to guide them through the buying process, right? And that, by the way, guiding them through the buying process is them having a clear business case about why they're doing it. And that's where the proposal comes in. Hey, here's your business. Here's what I understand your business case. It's amazing how many people don't. And by the way, I'm going to make a quick point. It depends on who you're talking to at the level. I always say when you're having a sales conversation with, they typically fall in three levels. If you're selling a product, there's the user of your services. So that may be their SEO manager or their marketing manager. There's the user. Then there's the user's manager or director. They usually have a title of manager or director, and they don't so much care about the nuts and bolts of how you're doing it. They care about have you done it before? Are you reliable? Have you got a good plan? And then the third level is the executive. So if you have a CEO on the line, the CEO is not going to care too much about the details. They're going to want to know kind of, okay, are you the best choice? Oh, yes, I'm the best choice because I've worked with 5 other construction safety directors. Okay. So know who you're talking to, and you have to tailor your conversation a little bit to them, if you will. Right. But if you get on a call with a CEO who's, the final call and he wants to know that, okay, Sarah, my people tell me you're going to help me increase my traffic by 20%. Right. That's good. You don't want to be talking to him about any kind of coding or, too much technical. That person sees they don't operate at that level. They operate at are you the best choice? Are you going to deliver my 10% traffic increase? And you're going to say, well, I hope so, but I know the previous 5 people we work with, we were able to increase their traffic. So I'm confident.
Um, okay.
So sorry, really quick. Building trust is first is listening. Building trust is a psychological thing. To quickly build trust is a little bit about mirroring. And that means, in confidence and it comes across. So you talked about how to be confident. That's by doing your preparation, knowing about the company, having the questions you're going to ask, right? You just being confident, they pick up and they trust you for that. The other element of trust is a little trick is make sure you use their terminology. If they call it SaaS, don't call it cloud. If they call it cloud, don't call it SaaS. Use their terminologies. If they call it traffic, don't call it.
Like that. And actually, I wanted to put this question to till the end, but since we're just touched on it, how do you balance technical SEO details with business-focused outcomes? And I think you mentioned some of it, like use their language, and then you mentioned the executive as well, like they're
Yeah.
not interested in all the coding. Is there anything else we
Yeah,
can
you gotta
do
be
to,
careful. You can lose them too.
yeah?
Well, follow your agenda. And I think that letter is, you run through that letter with them. Here's the letter. Here's what we propose. Show them how to buy. Remember next steps. That's where you're going to kind of show, here's what we typically do. We're going to come in first and do this and do this and this. So that next steps is kind of important, laying out how, and after you've covered that off, that's when you sort of say, okay, sir, does that answer all your questions? Do and then you got to be quiet. Does that answer your questions? Because then they'll say one or two things. No, I have more questions, which is great. You handle it. Or they go, no, let's go. I've had that. I've had people go, all right, when can we start?
I think that's actually one of the feedback I got before is you need to pause and see if there is any questions and just like keep going
Yeah,
through the deck or whatever you're walking them through, proposal or whatever.
yeah.
So since we highlighted this, any questions, guys? See, I learned
There was one
fast.
here. There's one if you are.
That
I'm
one,
looking at the
the thank you for your insights. I mean, if you want to, like, we can touch on that. I was also gonna leave that till the end, but we can touch on that. I still have two more things other than this one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when somebody undervalues SEO, my thought is if I would turn around, 'cause again, I'm not going to try and convince them. I ask questions like, you know, if you undervalue it, kind of, do you know how much of your business came from SEO last year? You know what I mean? And no, I don't. Oh, okay. Well, that tells you something right there. You know what I mean? So
Users are getting like traffic or whatever, like any numbers, just to explain to them what they're missing out on.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
point.
yeah. And again, stories are great. Say, yeah, I had a previous client, very, somewhat similar to your business, and they weren't aware of their traffic numbers either. So that might be the first thing we suggest is to do some analytics right on that thing too, because that's what I would expect from an SEO expert is not so much any trying to manipulate me or push me. Say, look, here's how, here's what you should know, and here's how I can help you find that out. You know, would that help? And they go, yeah, that would help. My next question is not if they say, yeah, that would help. I would say how, right?
I
Keep
feel like
digging.
I'm sorry that I keep interrupting. It's just
No,
again,
no.
I'm excited about the questions and the topic, and I'm thinking, so I'm just moving along.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
no,
So sorry.
trust comes from confidence and understanding. You know what I mean? And by the way, in your heart, trust, you want to help people. Keep that in mind. Don't worry, you're not trying to manipulate. That's the bottom end. You seriously. And the other thing is to be respectful of your own time. Because if you can't help them, you want to come out and say that. Oh, my budget's $1,000 and and I would sort of say, well, you know what, I'm happy to have a conversation. I used to say, I'll jump on a call with half an hour. I won't even charge you for it too, but $1,000 kind of won't get you what I think you need, too. So if that's your budget, I'm happy to help you, to maximize that a little bit. But don't promise them an 8-day engagement, right? For your $1,000, right? Too. But so trust comes from your heart, but really knowing that you want to help them, having the confidence to walk away if you don't think you can, you know, on that. So go ahead, but the last one is that price pushes back on price. Yeah.
How would you negotiate if like you come in, you have a budget, this is the proposal, and they started trying to, negotiate?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
would you do? Like if you don't want to like change a price or like how would you convince them?
Well, first off, in your mind, you got to convince yourself that what you're asking is fair, right? It makes a lot of sense. I talked about my dad a little bit. Again, he was not even a sales guy. He would present a proposal and they would say, well, it's not in my budget. And you go, well, no problem at all. Let's open up the thing. What don't you want to do? Starts taking, rather than knocking the price down, I start taking stuff out. Okay, well, we can do a reduce this. So that should be your first go-to. Okay, what can we leave out? What don't you want in my proposal? Because I'm an expert. I told you, based on your needs, here's what I think you should do. If you don't have the budget for it, then I would say, well, what do you have in the budget? And then I'll use my expertise to say, okay, with that kind of budget, that kind of time, here's what I can do. I never say no to a client. I say, here's what I can do. And sometimes if you're just going to, you don't want to, it's your brother-in-law or something like that. I've been able to say, I tell you what, let's just sit for half an hour and I'll give you some guidance. stuff too, but so it doesn't impact your budget. But budget early on is another good question. Sometimes back in the discovery call, is there a budget in place for this? Right. But I always find, budget, don't talk price before you understand value. There's a maxim, write that down. Never discuss price before you understand the value to them. Right. So if you're into price and they're asking about, why are 5,000 is too high, you got to remind and say, well, that's kind of what I estimate it's going to take to do a good job for you, and I will remind you, I think, but you told me that if you do this right, you're going to make 100,000. So I'm kind of focused on making you 100,000 versus kind of saving you 1,000. Because if this doesn't go right, by the way, nobody's going to remember that you saved $1,000. They're going to remember that you didn't make the 100, right? So, if that makes sense, remind them a little bit to kind of, sorry, that's kind of what I think it is to do a good and fair job, a complete job. But if you don't have the budget, I appreciate that. My next question is, what is your budget? And you deserve an answer because they raise budget first, right? And that's when they'll say, well, it's not $5,000. Okay, well, what is it? Kind of thing, right? And because if there's no budget, okay, well that's by the way, you should have found that out back in the discovery process, but too. But if they push back on price, I think you have the confidence to say, well, no, you come to me for my expertise. That's kind of, I think I've done a close estimate what it takes to do that. If it's not in the budget, then let me open up and say we can knock out this particular thing to save you $1,000. And that almost always they go, no, I want that. So they come back up. Too. So I don't know if that helps a little bit too, because price is there, but I find price is a lot less of an issue if you've done a good job of helping them in their mind see what they're going to get. Right. And that's the biggest way to kill
I think,
competition is that.
Patrick, I like what you're saying because in SEO, when we go on client meetings for the first time, we're trying to understand what they want to do, but we don't dig enough on what is the value this is gonna like
Yeah.
what there's expecting out of this
Yeah.
as in business value. And I like this because this is literally helping you 30-40% in your proposal. Why is this important for them? So yeah, that's a very good point.
Big,
Okay.
huge conversion rate. You mentioned already, somebody said, how do I increase my conversion rate? The conversion
Yeah.
rate on proposals is a big one, right? Because proposals take a lot of time. Conversion rate on email doesn't take you too much to send that email too. But if you've done a 5-6 hour proposal, you want to make sure those conversion rates are high, right?
I will share my screen to show like the Michael King's question. Are you okay with this?
Sure.
Okay, so I saw this sales question and I tagged you on it. Since LinkedIn is full of salespeople, I have a sales question. What is the right title for the sales support role that qualifies inbound leads, puts together proposal decks, does outbound outreach for lead generation only when there are no inbound to qualify and no decks to do, but doesn't do lead calls or close deals? I was thinking it's an SDR, but it might be more of a sales op position. Could you get me, please? So I felt,
Yeah,
oh,
well, no, that's yes. SDR, when you have a big enough sales force to split them into the SDRs versus the account executives, right? That's usually a career path too, right? SDR, account executive. So what I'm reading here is they've given you a bit of a job title. There's the title for that job, which is qualify inbound, do outbound. That's a sales job. I would call that an account executive. Now it's a jack of all trades, and some companies, if you're small enough, that's what they do. They do inbound, outbound, whatever they can. I've found over the years though, the challenge is trying, because you get busy with the inbound stuff, right? And I always inbound's great because they've raised their hand. I always kind of that's
yeah.
a priority, too. So it's not it's quite common to have a salesperson. Here's my salesperson, and they do all of this inbound, outbound. The challenges with it is it doesn't scale very well because people get busy with inbound, which they should, because inbound means somebody raised their hand and you want
About priority, right? This
right
is
away,
interested
yeah.
already and interested in you. So yeah.
So what's the first thing that falls by the wayside? The outbound stuff,
Yeah.
right? They don't do the campaign. They don't send the emails too. So you got to be pretty disciplined and structured to run both. I very seldom see a company that does both. That's why they split it into SDRs and account executives. But on this point, for me, I always look at a moment that matters. If I was to divide my sales force up, it would be SDRs are people that deal with people before a conversation is had. So their job is to kind of encourage people to follow up on leads, to say, hey, let's jump on a call. Our SDRs, that's what their job was, to get somebody on a call, not with them, but with an expert. So if I was to split this job into two, it would be okay, inbound, they're handing inbound, there's enough volume of it, and their goal is to set up a call for the AE. All right. AE again, if you're a big enough company, you really shouldn't get involved in lead generation or that sort of stuff, right? Their specialty is taking someone that's raised their hand and doing what we did today. Good discovery call, good proposal too. So the dividing line is that discovery call. SDRs set it up and AEs take it over. So what they've said here is, well, they're going to be a regular sales rep that does everything. And by the way, it's usually the founder that does that. Some person that's in their business, they're doing all this stuff too. So it just comes down to really when do you scale up? When do you have enough inbound leads to keep one person busy? And then that's something we help people with as well, is that kind of sales growth. When do you hire a sales development person? When do you hire AE? When do you hire a sales manager even? So there's a way to game all that out as to when you start hiring. But initially, like this person put up, is that's jack of all trades. Jack of all trades, master of none. You heard that saying?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, too.
I feel we've covered a lot about proposals this time. Is there any questions, guys, you'd like us to discuss before we wrap up? No or yes?
All right. How can I face the clients who haven't any idea about the service but need?
There's a question because I don't see it.
Problem I got is my make it bigger so I can read it. It looks like a good question. Okay, this is from Saraja. How can I face the
See the
clients
questions. Where are they sent?
in the chat? How can I face the clients who hasn't any idea about the service but needs result in a short period, as well as minimum budget and expect 10-time results?
Guys, you're sending the questions directly to Patrick because I cannot see them.
Oh, it is directed to me. Sorry about that. Yeah, it is directed to me. It says, how can I face the clients who haven't any idea about the service, but need results in a short period, as well come with a minimum budget and expectations of 10x results? Okay. Again, there's usually a questioning with them. Great. What are the results you're looking for? Right. And what time frame? So you really kind of, you suss that out, and that's what you're saying. What do you want to do? Okay. How do you want to do it? Right. So they have an idea. You're saying they don't have an idea about your service. They have an idea what they want. They may not know about your service, but they have an idea what they want. They want 10x results. So if they come with a minimum budget of $1,000, they're expecting 10,000. Just the fact that you've uncovered that is helpful, right? And you've done that by doing your what, how, why. What are you doing? Oh, I want to increase my results by 10x. How do you want to do that? Well, hopefully you're an SEO person. I hope to use SEO. Okay, and why now? Oh, because it's if I do 10x results, my results will be $2 million. Okay, so just putting those numbers out there starts to kind of expand the opportunity for them, and then you're able to come back and say, well, that's why I'm going to ask $5,000 because you're telling me 10x results is going to be $1 million for you. Then that's how you kind of get somebody in a short period of time. Time periods are up to you. You're the expert. If they're saying, well, I want to do this in a week, I want to double my traffic in a week, then you're probably going to say, well, that's great. It's good as a goal. I wouldn't stop them. I'd say, great. What would happen if you could double your calls in a week? Well, my sales will double. Okay, what are your sales now? It's $1 million. Okay, so we're talking 2 million. You don't interrupt that thought about what they want from it. But I would come back and towards the end. Okay, good. I understand you think there's $1 million on the table, but I should say, because I'm Sarah and I'm very smart, that you really can't do this in a week. Right? I'm just going to say, just to let you know, more realistically, I've helped with other people like you. And by the way, that's a good credibility. You're not saying I think you should do it. You're saying other people have found that it's going to take about 3 months to get the results you're looking for. So you're speaking truth to them. And I think that's another way to build trust, to say, I'm sorry, I know you want to do this in a week, but we can't. Or we can give it a try, but it probably, other people I've done this with, this is what the results are. So that's a great way to build trust too, right? Tell the truth. It's a great saying. Always tell the truth. That way you don't have to remember what you said.
Yeah, and I'm someone with bad memory. I really
Yeah.
don't remember what, like most of the time I don't remember unless it's something emotional or something that means something good to me. But generally I'm like a mess, and I think this is a very good advice. Like,
Yeah.
you don't
So,
have to
and
remember.
it comes across confidence too, right? You're never going to steer them the wrong way. I want what's best for you as a client. I always think of myself a little bit as a doctor. You imagine you walked into a doctor's office, doctor, I'm not feeling well, right? And the doctor's going to say, well, what's going on? But no, unfortunately, most salespeople, when you say, hey, I'm not feeling well, They'll go, "Oh, we do. Now let me get you some pills and we're going to put a cast on your leg and then let's operate next week." You're going like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't know what's wrong with me. Right. So that's why slow down a little bit, be the doctor. Hey, what are you doing? Have you come across this yet? We face that or tell a story sometime. Yeah, I know. I've had clients that wrestle with this too. But you know what they found? Do you want to hear what they found? They lean in, you go, well, they found that if I did this, this, and this, it works. So that's building trust and credibility because you're trying to help them. Yeah. But the proposal, by the way, we're going to come back to the proposal real quick. You're writing up, you're recapping the pain. You're saying, here's how we're going to solve it. Here's the next steps, to go on kind of thing. And those are the basic steps of it. We did one time, just so you know, right? Just a little tip. I just remember one of the first back when web pages cost $500,000. We did a proposal for a law society and we did all the proposal, it was pages and pages of what the website was going to look like. And the last page, I thought, why don't we throw in just a one pager that says, stated, and it says, I understand the problem and I wish to proceed with you, Sarah. And a little signature they could sign. It was a signing page that said, we want to go. So what I'm saying is at the end of your proposal, have something that they can sign off on, right? Say, I want to go. Expect it. Got a new message. Yeah, we're going over time for sure. Okay.
Guys,
Any other questions? Love questions. So Sarah's going to publish. I'll publish that Zant.
uploading the video on YouTube, and I'm going to share it in the email via the invite. Like everyone who signed up is going to get an email with the link to the video and any other thing that we want to share. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to Patrick. I'm sorry, Patrick. You can always reach out to Patrick on LinkedIn, and you can DM me. I don't do sales, so I'm not going to be good at that sort of advice. But SEO, maybe I can
That's
help.
what the best salespeople say.
Okay, give me a stop recording.